Hello good folks and welcome to my channel. This is my first ever gaming review and I will be taking on Terminator Resistance. Developed by the Polish studio of Tejan in Unreal Engine 4. The game itself is a AA first-person shooter that was released in late 2019. I won't be speaking about the Annihilation DLC at all in this video, and hopefully I will be getting to that at a later point. And of course, this review will be spoiler free. While you're watching and you have any suggestions regarding my performance, please comment below, and if you have any suggestions for future reviews, also comment below. Let's get to it! The game is set in 2028 in the city of Los Angeles, where you take control of Jacob Rivers, the lone survivor of the Resistance Pacific Division. You set out to find the rest of the Resistance together with other survivors that you encounter in the beginning of the game. The game itself is practically an homage to the original movies from the 80s and 90s. This actually plays out pretty well from time to time in the game, but overall I wouldn't say it's one of the main strengths of the game, unfortunately. The game is divided into chapters, and each chapter in the game takes place on a map. The maps have some form of variation, while some are more open-ended and some are more closed. The closed ones are more like riding a train and skeet shooting at enemies, while the open-ended ones actually encourage you to explore and tackle the missions and side missions at your own pace. Even though there's a new map in each mission, there's not a whole lot of variation in the maps. Each map takes place in a ruined Los Angeles, and each map is this grey dystopia. The main variation is actually the time of day, either night or day, and this doesn't affect the gameplay at all, unfortunately. You won't find any sign of life in the maps except for a few bits and pieces of lore that you can find. These scraps of paper doesn't really give that much to the game, except if you're a really hardcore Terminator fan. Then I guess you could appreciate it. When you level up in the game, you'll also get a skill point. The skill points can be used in the three main nodes: combat, science, and survival. In combat you have stealth, weapons, and explosives. In science you'll have lockpicking, crafting, and hacking. And last, in survival you'll have backpack, toughness, and fast learner. Hacking in Terminator Salvation is a minigame that's pretty much the arcade game of Frogger from the 1980s. The skill points that you'll get in the game and you put into hacking won't make you any better. It's only allows you to hack more difficult enemies and or locks, and the same with lockpicking. Lockpicking in the game is essentially Dying Light copy paste. The skill system in Terminator Resistance is more of a false sense of progression that the game forces onto the player, because it doesn't let you make any different builds. If you would like that, it doesn't let you play the game in any other way than what the developers intended for the game to be played. There's three main weapon types in the game, which are divided into ballistic, plasma, and explosives. The downside is once you get to plasma, there's really no need for ballistic anymore, and this actually sucks because in my point of view the shotgun is by far the most responsive weapon in the game, so I'm a little bit sad about that actually. The explosive weapons are divided into three different types: launched, thrown, and traps. And the explosives are good from the beginning of the game right up until the end of the game. So I highly recommend using the explosives. I'm sad to say that the variation of enemies is just as bad as the variation of weapons in the game. There's practically maybe 7 or 8 different kinds of enemies that just comes in different shapes and sizes pretty much. So that's a huge letdown in this awesome universe that is Terminator. So on to my last thoughts about the game. The game itself performs very well. I haven't encountered any major bugs. I had a consistent 100 FPS during the time I played. It took me approximately 8 hours to finish the game, and I didn't hurry. But I didn't explore every nook and cranny in the game either. The game is not hard at all. I played on normal and I found it to be very easy, and I'm in no means a hardcore FPS player. Most of the time that I died it was due to explosions, and most of those explosions were from my own weapons. So if you want a little more of a challenge, I suggest that you play on at least hard mode, maybe even extreme mode. So onwards to the score. I would rate Terminator Resistance 5 out of 10. It's a mediocre game at best. The shortcomings of the game far outweighs and outnumber what's good about the game. Some positives about the game is that you actually feel like you're in a 90s movie and that you're a 90s action hero. The shotgun is excellent. It's so sad that it's only viable for such a short period in the game. That really sucks actually. And of course the music. You can't praise any kind of Terminator media without praising the music. The music is excellent in the game. Onwards towards the 3 negative parts of the game. Most of the time it actually feels like a B movie that you're playing in. And with this I mean it's really cringy dialogue that's happening in the Resistance HQ and so on. Some of it is just cheesy, and I have no problem with that because that's true to the 80s and 90s, but when it's borders to cringe, it just gets too much. And of course, all you need is plasma. There's no need for any ballistics weapons in the game, it just feels like a filler for the first few hours. This really sucks. There's no real variation in gameplay in this game. The skills is just a filler, the weapons doesn't have enough variation, the enemies doesn't have enough variation to play the game any way other than what the developers intended for the game. So, the big question, should you buy the game? If you like the Terminator franchise and if it's on sale, yes, you could actually buy the game and have 8 good hours with it. Otherwise, no, there's no need to buy it if you're not a fan of the franchise. You won't miss anything if you don't buy it. So I really hope that you enjoyed my first gaming review, and I hope that you come back for more. Please feel free to give me a few pointers in the comment section if you wish. Otherwise, stay tuned for the DLC review of the Annihilation Line DLC and the upcoming review for RoboCop Rogue City. That's all for me. Take care and I hope to see you again.